Two, one. Yeah, welcome everybody. This is Robert Jackson, and thank you so much for tuning in to the show. And yeah, hope everybody is doing well. And yeah, we're just kicking things into high gear. And yeah, it's a nice rainy day here in LA. So I'm just, what better way to, I guess, celebrate the occasion than, just talk to somebody who has been a part of the acting business, but they also coach with different actors. So you've heard her, you've seen her around. This is Keri Safran? Keri Safran? Am I saying
Saffron.
Safran? Oh, wait a minute, hold up. All right, sorry about that, everybody. But yeah, this is Station Square with Robert Jackson, and this is Keri in the corner. So thank you so much for joining me today, and I'm really excited to talk with you.
Ditto. I'm happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yep, anytime. So I guess to start this off, how is 2025 going for you?
Oh gosh. 2025 has already been a roller coaster. I think most of us feel that way, especially Los Angelinos. So it's
Boy.
a little wild. But if we restrict that question just to showbiz things, uh, well, that's been a little wild too. Because as we know, production has really contracted for the moment. So we're all hoping that things pick up and that they'll be filming a lot more TV shows and movies very, very soon. But for me, I will say I'm very lucky that the year kicked off with my episode of Law and Order SVU airing, which I'm thrilled about because my very first audition for a television show ever in my life was when I was in high school, and it was for Law and Order. And I've been obsessed ever since. So we're talking my first audition for the Law and Order universe, 1997, before you were probably born, Robert.
Sounds about right. Yeah.
So now I haven't been auditioning for it consistently since then. There was a good, uh, probably 15-year gap. But yeah, the past few years I've really been targeting that, and it happened, and I was so happy. So that aired, and that was really thrilling.
Yeah, I just want to wish you congrats on that Law and Order gig. That is one of my all-time favorite shows. My family and I, we just watch it all the time. So I just wanted to just quickly get that out of the way.
Thank you so much. It's funny. So many people have said, "Oh, I'm obsessed with that
Yeah,
show."
I'm obsessed with Law and Order. And then they end up on the show. So it just kind of it's like a bookend, like a sort of yeah, it's kind of like I grew up watching Law and Order and now I'm in the show, so it's like, it's just kind of a small world after all. Just everything just kind of all worked out in the end. So,
It
you know?
is, and it's kind of a rite of passage, especially for New
Yeah.
York. And I didn't have any scenes with Mariska Hargitay or Ice-T, but it was still an amazing experience. And I got to play a Jewish doctor, which my joke is, that I said to my mother, I didn't marry a Jewish doctor, but at least I got to play one on TV. So there's that.
Yeah, embarrassing. Well, you know what? Just I guess it's one of those cases where it's like, okay, it's sort of like art, life imitating art, or vice versa, but hey, at least you're able to pull off a really convincing, playing the part.
Thank you. I
At least that's what I'm gonna say. Yeah.
appreciate it. Yeah, it was super fun. First thing in the morning, right before Halloween, we shot, and it's always exciting when you have to wake up super early and get yourself to set and be ready. And the sun was kind of coming up as I was taking the bus across town to go to the studio, and then when I was done, I met my friend around the corner at the diner and had a celebratory little champagne breakfasty cocktail to celebrate. It was great.
Yeah. So I know that it's probably been like still must have been like pretty crazy just even getting to be on the show.
Yeah, it definitely was a pinch yourself kind of
Yeah.
moment. And I totally had a nerdy fangirl moment with the actor who plays ADA Carisi on SVU, Peter Scanavino. And I sort of snagged him just before he disappeared into his dressing room after I was done shooting. And I was like, can I have a picture? And I said, and I have to tell you, my bestie and I we have what we call murder night where we watch SVU and whatever other program. And he humored me. He was nice. He let me take the picture. Uh, but yeah, that was super fun. And then the actor who was the big guest star on the show who was being prosecuted that I was testifying against, he had ages ago this amazing episode of Star Trek Voyager where he played this kind of like germaphobe hologram creature. And he was amazing in that episode. So when I saw that he was going to be in the episode, I stopped him as well. And I stopped outside his dressing room and I introduced myself and I said, your episode stays with me because you were so fabulous. And he got a huge kick out of that. So we never know what we do that people are going to remember out there.
For sure. And speaking of, I know we're probably gonna cover over some of your work in just a second, but so you pretty much carry a lot of different hats. I mean, you act, sing, dance, the Hollywood triple threat, and you're also coaching different actors on their journey. So what is how do you balance it all out? Just that's my question for you.
I have murder television night with my friend to decompress. Balance. That's a really good question. I think I am very passionate about this industry, and I'm really passionate about all the aspects that you just named, although I don't really dance anymore. Uh, and so to me, it is about chasing down every opportunity that I possibly can so that I can keep doing this. And it's a tough business. And everybody has to hustle in various ways. There are some people who, the offers just keep flying across their desks, but then there are the other 99.9% of us who really have to hustle for each bit of work that we get to do. So, I don't find myself in a position of saying, oh, all these people want me to do musicals, but I just really feel like doing XYZ right now, so I'm going to say no. I just try and do everything that I can. Uh, so yeah, I don't know that there's a lot of balance. Although I do go through phases when I get more obsessed with one thing than another. Like I'll get obsessed with Shakespeare for 3 years, and then I'll be obsessed with sketch comedy for 3 years, and I kind of rotate around sometimes.
It's kind of like you kind of have like an obsession for a while with one thing, and then the next thing you know, something comes in, and it's like, oh, it's kind of like attention spans, like I was talking about earlier, where we just kind of have we just juggle so many different stuff, and we just kind of often ask ourselves, look, I don't know how we managed to do it, but hey, we're just really passionate about a lot of things. Let's just be real.
True, it's really true. And I think the balance to that, which this will maybe answer your question a little bit better, is I have I have friends that, I'm as obsessed with as I am with working in this industry, much more so actually. Um, and I have things I love to do, and I have lots of animals in my life, and so my life isn't just show business. Like I have a very fulfilling life outside of it that makes all that work stuff secondary or tertiary, really.
So I know how much you really love cats. That's kind of like a fun fact.
It's true. There's a fluffy one asleep on my bed right now. Um, she's actually not mine. A dear friend of mine, unfortunately, is unable to go back to their house right now because of the fires and the some of the flooding that happened on the west side after that. So while this kitty can't go home, I have to kitty. Uh, yes, but I do have a reputation as a total cat lady. I used to have two, and my favorite song that I've ever written is called F You, I'm a Cat Lady. So yeah, you have me pegged.
But yeah, I kind of wanted to also ask you about, the groundlings because that was pretty much where you got your training. And would you say that it was also very, very much crucial in your, I guess, expanding your forte and your expertise as a performer and, just really helping you on your journey into showbiz?
Well, sure. I mean, I would say it's where I got the bulk of my sketch and improv training. I've trained in many other things for extended periods of time elsewhere. But yes, Groundlings going through that whole program is sort of like graduate school for comedy. So, and for me, it was really about doing something that scared me. It wasn't because I thought I was Little Miss Brilliant Improviser or Little Miss Funny Pants. I didn't think those things at all. I literally went because it was like, oh, this would probably be a good thing for me to do. Because especially in my 20s, I was always about taking classes and stuff that I thought would just make me better at this stuff overall. And then it just happened to go well there. And I made it through that program and I did the Sunday Company. And that was really great because you had to write like between four and I don't know, eight sketches every single week. And it was a great lesson in committing to creativity without sort of cutting yourself off because you don't think it's perfect. So it was really valuable for that. And then they kicked me out, and that sucked. But the thing I regret most about not being in the Sunday Company longer is that I didn't have, another 6 months or year of that weekly, you got to crank it out, you got to crank it out. And what I regret is I will never know what I would have come up with if I had had the opportunity to stay. That's the thing that I rue, as it were. Yeah. And for those listening who don't know, the way the Sunday Company works is if you get into it, they sort of evaluate every 6 months and they vote and they do this whole crazy thing, but the whole company doesn't have to be there to vote. And there's all this behind the scenes drama. And frankly, I'm not a fan of it, but that's what it is.
We're able to work with a lot of notable, because there's so many alumni that have worked on the Groundlings that have went on to Saturday Night Live and so many other TV programs. So we're able to work with a lot of uh, some names that we might be familiar with.
I mean, I'm sure I have. I don't know who people know. I will say that the people I worked with at Groundlings, particularly in my advanced class and in the Sunday Company, are the funniest, most brilliant people I have ever known. Just right off the top of my head, Courtney Peroso is a genius, kind of avant-garde clown, brilliant human who's been written up by the New York Times. She's just one of a kind. And people like Steph Allen and Chris Caldwell Eckert and Jimmy Fowley, who writes for SNL right now. These are marvelously funny, gifted, fabulous people that I got to work with.
Give me one quick second. Okay, had to take a phone call, but yeah, let's see, what was I gonna ask? So yeah, because you've worked with a lot of people from the Groundlings that are just really brilliant and funny, and improv is kind of also my background. Like I love sketch comedy, Monty Python, Saturday Night Live, like I mentioned, all that. That's just pretty much that was my cup of tea. I mean, it really is a cup of tea because when you look at Monty Python, because I know I'm just using that as a term of like, oh yeah, it's British, type of humor, but it really does hold up well, especially after years of, knowing the routines, knowing the bits, and you could probably steal. They always say that good actors borrow, but great actors steal. So I just kind of, when it comes to comedic routines, I just kind of steal from the best. That's pretty much. I mean, hey, showbiz is like you just kind of steal from the best, and nobody will ever know. Maybe. Who knows?
Yes, I love that you mentioned Monty Python. My obsession with them started probably, I think, in seventh grade, sixth grade, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just something that just recently started becoming because I knew about Monty Python, but I never really watched any of the sketches until like years later when I was in like school or something. Like it was during like middle or high school, and I just fell in love with it right away. So I just can't stop quoting it. It's just kind of become like my sort of spirit animal
I feel
as of
this.
right now. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's so cool. But it's nice to know that we have another Monty Python. I've been getting so many folks on here that are also huge fans of Monty. So, especially during this month, which is kind of pretty insane to me in a good way.
I'm glad that they're still beloved.
I mean, yeah, like I said, this was a show that came out in the 60s, 70s, and it's still a riot even like half a century later.
Totally agree.
Yeah, but I guess besides all of that, because if we were to go over everything, like you have so many credits, and it'd be really hard to just go over every single performance that you've done. So, what would you say were the ones that really were like the game changers to you, that really changed your life in a significant type of way? You know, just the ones that really made the big impact in your career, I should say. Yeah.
Well, my first job, of course, my first job, got really lucky. The incredible Rick Linklater, we know from Days Confused and the Before Sunset trilogy, and nominated for Boyhood, all that. He did a pilot for HBO 100 years ago. And I was lucky enough to be cast in a terrific part. And that was my very first job. So that was amazing to have such an amazing credit on my resume right out of the gate when I was first starting my career in Los Angeles. It was a very prestigious credit to have. It also gave me the ability to join SAG at any point I so chose, which is a huge deal because people work for years to try to get into SAG or pray that they get a job where they get Taft-Hartley or whatever. But this enabled me to move to LA with the ability to join SAG at any point. So that was massive. And working with him was wonderful. And I just knew who this character was. She was this sassy, dry Texas bartender. And I rolled around in a parking lot, in a dirty, dusty Texas parking lot before I went in for the audition because I wanted to just look a little warm. And it worked, and it was great. And I chewed gum in the audition, and I put it behind my ear when the character was talking. God, I'm just remembering that now. I would love to see that audition tape. I wonder if it exists anywhere. Uh, that was a very long time ago, but that was an amazing experience, and that was very impactful. And then I would say I had gone straight into doing screen work and still done some theater work, but had never sort of like gotten my yayas out in the New York theater world and the proper regional theater world. And so I moved to New York to pursue musical theater at the age of 36 without a single musical theater credit on my resume because I'm a lunatic. And I, was up every morning, warming up my voice, 7 a.m., going to open calls and standing in line, hoping to be seen. Like I did the whole shebang. And the thing that changed it for me was after about 6 months of doing that, or maybe 8 months doing that, I had seen on Actors Access that the Tony winner, Katie Huffman, marvelous actress and director, she won the Tony for the producers for originating the role of Ula. I saw that she would be directing a brand new musical set in Paris for this theater festival in New York at the Connolly Theater called She NYC. And I thought to myself, if I have Katie Huffman's name on my resume, people will trust me here. They will overlook the fact that I don't have a ton of musicals on my resume, and they might let me audition and they might let me in the door. So the character was French. So I went in, and from the moment I entered the building, I pretended I was French and I intimidated the hell out of all the other people waiting to audition. And I went in and I sang a Florence and the Machine song in a French accent. And then I did I think maybe I had to do a scene or something also in a French accent. And then just before I walked out the door, I said, "Thank you so much. This has been so much fun." And they were like, "Oh my God, she's not French." And I got a call back, same thing, pretended I was French, thought I did amazing, and then I didn't get the part. The part went to Bonnie Milligan, who won the Tony for um, Kimberly Akimbo about 2 years ago. And Katie Huffman called me and she said, "You're amazing. Would you consider understudying?" And I kind of thought about it. And I even think she said to me, "You know what? You're better than this. Don't understudy." I think she said that. And I said, "Okay, but you know what I could do for you is I could dialect coach this production for you." And she was like, oh, interesting. She was like, "Let me get back to you about that." And then that was when I was in New York. And then I flew back to LA because I had a movie premiering in Dances with Films. And um, one morning I woke up in LA and I had maybe a text message from Katie Huffman, the Katie Huffman, and it said Juliet. And that was the character's name. And it said, "Juliet, call me." And I called her, and apparently the other actress, Bonnie, had a scheduling conflict. And she said, can you come in and play Juliet? Like it was always supposed to be you anyway, clearly. And I or said something like that. And I was like, yeah, yeah, I'm in LA, but I'll be back on this date and I could do it. And that job changed everything for me. People would see me. I started getting cast in theater all over the country. It changed everything. And now she's a wonderful mentor, and I can reach out to her anytime. And that's how I met Valerie Pettyford, amazing Tony nominee who played I played her daughter in the musical, another amazing human in my life, mentor, genius. Yeah, you're
Pretty
muted, my
much.
dear. There you go.
Okay, yeah, I'm here. Yeah, that's pretty much just a very long but a great answer to just a question that it's just like, so what was the most like the game changer in your career? And I'm just like, wow, okay. Now, I think that's just kind of answered like five different questions that I have for you, all rolled up into one. So, you know what? Yeah, we're doing good, folks. We're doing good.
I'm glad. Yes, those were long answers, but I do
I know,
tend to.
yeah, but I love we ramble all the time, so trust me, yeah, you're in the right place. But yeah, you've also directed and created Simone. You've also done your own projects like Women of Fashion, A Jewish Woman Quarantine. So yeah, just because with all of the acting stuff that you've done over the years, what's the experience of getting to be the director and creator and just, throwing on being on the other side of the glass, per
Yeah,
se?
okay. Here's what I would say. I hate producing. My hat goes off to every single producer because it's such an impossible job. It's just a nonstop engine. You have to take care of every little detail. I think I'm better equipped for it now emotionally than I was 10 years ago when I was running stupid songs. The stress would really get to me then. But I don't really ever want to produce again. In terms of directing, though, I do like having creative control. I uh I trust my instincts. in that way. So I trust how I will edit those Jewish women quarantines videos. I think the one I just did in December for my mom's birthday was the best one I've done yet. Uh, but yeah, and it was similar with Stupid Songs, the way that I would direct those numbers and the stupid jokes that I would insert into the staging and stuff. Like I was working with brilliant collaborators who were of the same mind, but I like having creative control.
And speaking of creative control, because you going into your coaching just real quick, because you've often coached with actors on just training, singing, but and especially since you played like a Jewish doctor, let's talk about the accents and yeah, how that all kind of, you know, came into the picture with your into your journey and just getting to coach students on accents, dialects, and yeah, just talking about your other passion just for a sec.
Yeah. I didn't use any sort of accent on Law and Order. I just kind of did my own
Okay.
voice, but I love coaching accents. It's what I spend most of my time doing. I'm going to be on faculty at UCLA starting next month, so I'm really excited about that. But I've coached people of all ages. I think maybe the youngest person I've coached is 8 or 9, and then I have clients in their 70s, and it's a joy helping people add this piece of storytelling into their work because it's, up there with the costumes and the character's history. It is the character's history. So it's really joyful and it's never boring because people are always asking me to coach new accents or they're auditioning for this piece based on this real life person and I have to help them sound like them, which I love doing. So yeah, I love doing that. And I love also my voice and dialect coach colleagues. They're all super brilliant people to be in a room with. And I'm very lucky with the people that I get to coach. I get to coach people. Somebody will reach out to me and I'll think, oh my God, I've loved your work for decades, but I'm going to play it cool. I'm going to be a professional.
Yeah, and also something else that you do flawlessly is celebrity impressions. And it's kind of like a topic here, especially when it comes to voiceover, of like, if you could do like a bad impersonation of somebody that can make a new character, and nobody will ever know, and no one will sue you, hopefully. But yeah, celebrity impressions.
Yeah, that was probably the first thing I ever did. There's a picture of me in third grade on stage at my elementary school, and I'm dressed up like Gilda Radner's character from SNL, Emily
Oh
Latassi.
my God. Yeah.
Sort of the first like little character that I got up and did, but that's how it really started for me was impressions. I did a summer at Williamstown Theater Festival as an apprentice, and I used to do impressions kind of in the dorms or in the cafeteria. And this one woman, Maria Goyanes, who is now the artistic director of the Woolly Mammoth Theater, uh, was like, "You should do a show." And I was like, "What?" She was like, "Yeah, it was one of your impressions." So I was like, "Oh, I don't know." She was like, "I'll direct it." I was like, "Okay." So that was sort of the first thing that I did. And I did that at Williamstown when I was just a teenager, and it just changed the whole summer for me. And now it's something that I'll like show up in a cabaret show and I'll do a little medley with some impressions. But I love coaching impressions when other people have to audition with them. That's super fun too, to get them to that place. But I love doing impressions. And a great way to do them is not just to study the person themselves, but if you look at other people's impressions of someone, you'll learn a lot because these talented people out there are always highlighting or exaggerating something that's true about that person. And sometimes that can kind of wake up your own observational skills to, oh yeah, that is happening. And that reminds me, but they also do this when they do that. So It's super fun.
Yeah, right on. So, where do you see just after now that you've booked Law and Order, SUV, like what is next for Carrie? Where can we expect to see you in 2025? If you'd like to share anything like upcoming stuff, promote, all that good jazz. Where can we expect to see Miss Carrie?
I have no idea. Hopefully somewhere. I did just go to a screening of an AFI short. I did a little bit in it's called The Devil Inside Me, and they did a fabulous job. So I wouldn't be surprised if that showed up in some festivals, but I'm only in it for like 2 seconds. I'm not a huge part of it, but I was really happy to be a part of it because they're terrific. So I'm really excited for them. But other than that, honey, I'm just auditioning and I'm just in these streets trying to get work and you know how it goes.
Yeah, I mean, look, we were in a strike for a couple of years, and we're kind of still technically are for video games. So, support actors, don't support AI. Just simple as that.
Amen. Amen.
Yeah, and where can people find your work? Like socials, website, give it to us.
On Insta, it's just at Keri Safran, KeriSafran. And my website is just kerisafran.com. And those are my two major hubs where you can see the stuff that I'm working on. I put out tons of free accent tips and other actorly tips on my Insta. And on my website, you can contact me about coaching. And I've also got a bunch of my reels up there so you can see all the ridiculous things I've been up to in the past. And yeah, that's me.
And what would be your little closing, like final thoughts, outro, just anything that you want to, last bit of wisdom that you want to,
Oh,
bestow upon us?
wisdom. Everybody should go to therapy and to be able to go to therapy because be the change you wish to see in the world. It starts with you. So if you are healed, then your presence in the world is a positive influence. So yeah, go to therapy. That's it. That's my final word.
Yeah. And as I say in every episode, just do it. What's the
Oh,
worst that could happen?
yeah,
Yeah,
do it.
exactly. So with that, on that note, thank you all for watching. Stick around next time on Station Square. And yeah, thank you so much, Carrie, for stopping by. And best of luck in the future.
Thank you so much. Best of luck to you. Thank you for having me.
Yep, anytime. And this is Robert Jackson signing out for the day. And until then, everybody, good night, folks. And good day. Best wishes. Live long and prosper. Peace.